Because reading is what?
Fundamental.
Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of What You Reading. I'm Lisa.
And I'm Delize. Welcome back, guys. I know it has been a minute, but we're back. Actually, I guess that won't be true because technically, yeah, it is true. Anyway,
It's a little bit true.
It is a little bit true. But we're back and we're doing another episode on a story that we read from Wattpad. It was a very interesting story. It was not a fanfic, but it was still a very good story nonetheless. It is called Runaway, and it is by Bazookah on Wattpad, and that is Bazooka on Wattpad.
Yeah.
And it's a text to voice. Wait,
text to speech.
Text to speech. Yeah, text to speech. All right, so let's get into it.
All right, so in the story, it's this girl named Josephina. She goes by Josie. She lives in a colony. So in the beginning of the story, it's pretty much talking about how she lived in this colony with her brother, because the beginning of the story is talking a lot about Daniel, which is her brother.
Mm-hmm.
So Daniel and Wes are friends. They both lived on this colony, and they would get away and just like go to see regular life somewhere else, and then would come back to the colony. Mm-hmm. And eventually, they start figuring out about Father K and was like, we got to get up out of here so we can get our people out of here. So that was like what they was trying to do. Now what they did was not that.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
So
sorry. Before you get, so when she says colony, it's a cult. Go ahead.
Right. So Daniel and Wes eventually just ran away, and he left his little sister Josie. Now him and Josie was like this now, and Josie would meet Wes back and forth for a couple of years after he ran away, but he eventually gave her like a phone so she could like message or call him whenever she would need him. So she would just do that, and she still was meeting with him, but eventually that he couldn't meet as much, so he left her that phone, and she would like try to talk to him like that way, but she just noticed that she wasn't able to get in touch with him anymore. Well, at that time is when she was already graduating from school or whatever. So her and a couple of her other friends was graduating high school, and what they did was Father Cade, which is like the leader or whatever y'all want to call it.
Of the cult.
Leader. And he would like tell them, okay, you gonna be this, like he would assign them placement.
And partners.
Yeah, which they call the assign.
Mm-hmm.
So he would assign them a person, he would assign them like a position. So, but only a few people got to go to college because they needed people that were like doctors and stuff like that. So he picked her to be like one of the doctors. So she was all excited. She was like, oh, I applied to NYU. I know my brother is there. So, I'm trying to see what he gonna let me do, because we close. So now it was something about Josie. It was something about Josie that everybody loved, but they didn't love at the same time. And maybe it was because she was a little thicker than the rest of them. I don't know, because her mom was talking shit
about her being overweight.
About her being overweight and thick. But baby, Father K liked it.
Everybody did.
Everybody did, right? So Father K just had an extra close interest in Josie. So she was like, she was very naive. So, she didn't really know, but she knew. Like, she knew that they were cool, that she was real close to him, but she did not know his intentions or anything.
Right.
Father K was old as crap now. Because what y'all find out in the book, and I'm going to go ahead and tell y'all, that's Daniel's dad. Did you know that?
I didn't think that was his dad, because I thought Michael was his dad and the lady was that was their mom. I thought both of them was the mom.
The Father K was his daddy.
Oh, I didn't catch that at all.
Mm-hmm. Well, anyway, so that's why he was so disappointed with him leaving like that too. because that was his daddy. But that wasn't his daddy, but that was his real daddy.
Mm.
But anyway, so Father K had an interest in Josie or whatever. So she was like, yeah, he gonna pick me, he gonna let me go to NYU or whatever. So it was like 2 other people in there. He was like, you going to college this place, you going to pop college that place. She was like, waiting for her chance. He was like, and you going to community college right down the street.
Because you can't be too far away from me. Because
Right.
you're
And
gonna
she
be
was
with me
so
forever and always.
right. And she was so mad, but she didn't think nothing of it because she was like, he'll change his mind. I'm sure he'll change his mind, blah, blah, blah. But she was still mad. So after the other 2 friends had left, she was like there talking to him, and he was like giving her a box of condoms. And he was like, use this on your sign. Don't let him do that to you and this to you or whatever. And she was like, I don't even know what this is. Like, what is you giving me? So
Yeah.
she left, and then she went with her friend that was there. And they went to the woods to that cell phone and was Googling what condoms were and found out. And they looked at some porn and all that good stuff. But then her friend of her was in that woods, honey, and she was like, they was like curious about kissing and stuff. And they kissed, like kiss.
So her friend, I can't remember her name right now, but her friend was because she was assigned to somebody, and she's like, pretty much expressing the fact that she thought she liked women and didn't feel like she was attracted to men. And so Josie was kind of like, well, how are you gonna know if you like, how do you know? And so her friend was like, well, let's just kiss and we'll see, if I feel anything. And that's kind of what led that whole thing.
So as they were like just like doing all that, an email came through, and guess what? It was her acceptance to NYU. He had been making her think that she hadn't even been contacted by NYU anyway. But it was her acceptance letter to NYU, and that's when she was like, why is he lying? Like, why he lying to me?
So she felt even more of a type of way about that whole situation, because she was like, everybody has this idea of Father Cade being the guy that like knows all, tells all, like is truthful, all this, because that's how they grew up.
Yeah. Like when he say go, that's what
right. So she was like, I don't understand why he would do that. But then that started bringing up another questions, because it was like, well, if he was wrong about this, maybe he's wrong about other stuff. And it just kind of kept going on that spiral. So they have their moment, they leave, and what's that boy name?
Daniel.
No, Daniel's her brother.
Daniel's her brother, not Daniel. Wait a minute.
Dylan? No.
Dylan, that's his name.
It is Dylan. Okay. So here come Dylan. So Dylan is Josie's assigned. And the first time, so mind you, see, I almost called him Daddy Cade. Father Cade. Father Cade told her to use the condoms because she wasn't supposed to get pregnant or anything like that, because he didn't want to ruin her future, is what he told her. He ends up kind of saying more a little bit later on, and that's kind of when it kind of turns for her. But Dylan is supposed to go in the room with her, and it's supposed to go down or whatever. So they end up, am I jumping too far ahead?
No, but the reason why she ended up with Dylan is because she went to confront Father K after she got that email.
Right.
And Father K tried to put his goddamn mouth on her.
Yeah. So she already was feeling some type of way about that whole situation, because she's like, you're not even supposed, like, why are you coming on to me like this? This is weird. She doesn't know what's going on. She doesn't really know what's right, what's wrong, but she also knows how she feels. So he tried to pull a move on her. She's like, ew, gross, this is nasty. And then Dylan is
she like ran out, and then Dylan just out of nowhere.
Right. So long story short, she and she feels some type of, well, she didn't know that she was, but she felt some type of way inside, but she didn't know what she was feeling.
What it was.
But she knew it wasn't right. So between that happening to her, Father K lying about her whole NYU thing, and then him trying to come on to her, she had pretty much had enough. Homegirl was like, I'm not doing this anymore, and she leaves. Well, she packs up her stuff and bounces, but she has a best friend who I can't remember her name, but she has a best friend. I can't remember it to save my life. And she leaves her. She doesn't even say bye to nobody. She just bounces. So she goes to New York because she's like, I'm gonna go to
with
school.
$300.
$300. But bless her
She
little
had been
heart
saving that $300 for a year.
for years. And bless her heart, she was like, I got $300. I should be fine in New York. Like, no,
Right.
girl. So she gets to New York. She's trying to figure out a way. She doesn't know anything. She's been tucked away in this colony, away from everything. So there's taxi cabs and there's things like that and bus tickets. She finally worked her way to get a bus ticket, and she was so proud of herself. But that bus ticket cost a lot more money than she thought it was going to be.
Yep.
So she was freaking out about that. She's like, I only got but so much money. Then she finds was it a taxi that she got into, and homeboy took all of her money. She was freaking out about that. So then she's like, I just need somebody to like help me out. And she runs into
but she sees the food that her brother always liked.
Yeah. So her plan was to go to all the places that he used to frequent so that she can find him, because she had that cell phone from him, but she hadn't been able to get in contact with him for a while. So she was like, I don't know if he's okay. I don't know what's going on, but I'm going to try to find him. And her idea of trying to find him was to go to the place that he always ate at, or, you know, the different places, and see if he'll just show up. He don't, but but it is
that's what happened.
That's what happens. So she finally goes to this one place. She runs up, or no, she goes to the
no, she go to that food place and she asking a bunch of people, do they know who Brandon is?
Who's Brandon?
Not Brandon. I don't know where that came from. Who Daniel?
Oh, I was like,
yes, and a bunch of people do they know who Daniel is? Daniel, and was saying the last night, Demai or whatever. And she finally seen this girl that worked there. No, the girl that was getting something to eat there, and the girl started talking to her, and she started asking her questions, and she was like, "Listen, I'm gonna take you over here because I work over here, and it sounds like we talking about the same people, and you said West." And so I'm gonna take you over here, but nobody seen Daniel in a long time. Like,
right.
Gone, girl.
Yeah.
Go on up there and say you Sammy cousin. Cause Sammy and Wes are friends.
Yeah.
Go up there and say you Sammy's cousin, and
you should be okay from there.
Right, but don't tell nobody I'm letting you in. She was like, I don't know what she was, but she worked there like.
She was, she was like, it sounded like she was like the front desk, the receptionist at the front desk. That's what it sounded like.
Yeah.
Like in where you check in and stuff like that. That's what it sounded like. Go ahead.
Yeah. Yeah. So she was like, girl, just gone up there, but I ain't let you in. And you tell them that you Sammy cousin when you get up there. So she gone up there and she sees somebody, and it wasn't Sammy. It was who was it? It wasn't Sammy. Maybe it was Sammy that was up there.
It was Sammy, and I think Wes ended up showing up later, or he was there too.
Wes was getting beat up or something.
Yeah.
So she seen him, and he was like, I don't know who you talking about. You need to get on back, girl, go on. And she was like, she started crying, and he couldn't take that crying. He was a sucker for the crying. So he was like, damn, now I got to take you up here. Okay, I'm gonna take you up here, but what he trying to say?
Say that you're his cousin from somewhere random in the States, from somewhere random. I can't remember where, but it was somewhere. They made up a whole story about where she was from, who she was looking for, so that nobody would ask questions. And she was like, all right, I'm gonna stick to this story. Mind you, homegirl don't catch subtle things. She really be oblivious to a lot.
She don't know nothing.
She don't know nothing. So she's like, all right, I'm gonna stick to this story. So as they're going up to the penthouse or whatever, because that's where they ended up being, as they get up to the penthouse and they try to figure out, like, he trying to figure out who she is, they trying to figure out all this other stuff. And then Wes, I think, ends up coming in while they're up there, and he's like all beat up. But it was him. I thought Wes and Sammy were together.
No, because Sammy told her
that's later.
To wait. Sammy told her to wait up here because something happened. He had a phone call or something. He told her just to wait right here. don't go nowhere, stay right here. And she was looking around and she seen all Nico's pictures, but she didn't know who he was. She was just like, this is a fine man with all these tattoos on. I don't know who he is. And I ain't never seen nothing like him. But he looked good. So he takes her upstairs. She's looking at all the pictures. And he was like, oh, let me take this phone call. So she's still just kind of looking around. And then she knows she get kicked down to the ground with a gun to her head. And like he asked her, who are you? Where you here for? Da, 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 da. And then she like didn't even really get a chance to speak. And he was like, come get your bitch.
Yeah.
And so Sam came back. Yeah, and she was like, she didn't know what bitch means, so she was Googling bitch. Wasn't it bitch? Yeah. She was Googling bitch. And then they looked to see she was laughing and they took her phone from because they didn't know what she was doing. Fine, and they don't know who she is. It's somebody.
Yeah. Right.
And then Sam was just like, that's my cousin. She from such and such place. And he was like, you need to get up out of here. So he ended up taking her back downstairs to the other apartment that they had. And when she got there, I think that's when she seen Wes, didn't she?
I think so, yeah. Yeah. And he was looking at her because he hasn't seen her in a long time because once he left,
she was.
Yeah, when she left, they didn't see each other no more. It was just her and Daniel that would run into each other. And so when he was looking at her, but he didn't recognize her like that. Then she said her name and he was like, oh, okay. So that kind of brought that whole thing on. He was happy to see her. She was happy to see him, all that good stuff. So she's like, okay, well, Wes is like, we gonna have to have you, because she's like, I don't know what to do. I don't know where to stay, all this stuff. But they're both, Sammy and Wes are kind of nervous because they're like, we got this girl here. We got a lot of stuff going on because of the job that they do. And they didn't really want her around like that. But she ain't had nowhere else to go. She ain't had no money. Because by this point, all of her money was gone.
All them $300 are gone.
Gone. I mean, and honestly, you got a bus ticket and you got a taxi. Granted, somebody stole some of it, but like you got food, a taxi, and a bus ticket. That was gonna be gone.
That's it. That's all.
That's it. So so they allow her to stay there or whatever. She's like, okay, but homegirl is exhausted. She is freaking tired. She just wants to be able to like get clean and just go to sleep. But for some reason, I don't remember her being able to go to sleep right away because what happened?
She was scared of the dark.
She was scared. Oh, that's right.
So she always slept with a nightlight or something on.
Yeah.
So she didn't have that nightlight, and she was like, "I gotta find me a light." So she went out the room. She seen a lamp on the in another part of the room. She was like, "Let me just unplug this and drag this to the room." And when she was trying to drag it to the room, she bumped into Nico.
Nico. He sounded like he might have been a little bit fine, but he was an asshole.
Oh, girl, because I was in my head. I couldn't think about nobody but that 365-day man.
I still haven't watched that.
Listen, just like look at him one day. Just you ain't gotta watch him. Just like cause every mafia story, that's who I think about is that man.
Okay. Yeah.
And he a fine man too.
It sounds like Nico real fine, but he is an asshole.
Yes, he
asshole. Complete asshole. Through the entire story. Honestly.
For real. To everybody.
Like to everybody. It didn't even anyway, we'll get to that. Because it's just such a mess. Okay. So she runs into Nico. Nico, his demeanor is like, why are you in my space? Why are you around me? Like he doesn't have time for people and their mess. Like he don't be caring about nothing. But Josie's got these big, beautiful brown eyes. She's so innocent. She doesn't know what's going on. And he instantly is like, oh crap. Because he looking at this girl like she's so adorable, but like doesn't realize what's going on.
Because I don't know why I like her.
I don't know why I feel this way. I can't. She's doing something to me and I just don't know what it is.
Right.
Okay.
Right. Like
so
every story.
So he starts calling her Bambi because she's
I
like,
love the nickname.
it's such a cute nickname.
I love the nickname.
It is. It's really cute. So he starts calling her Bambi because she's just super unaware. She's just like a new little born baby, that happens to be a grown woman. Actually, I think she was what, 19, 20, 21, somewhere around there. So he's trying to figure her out. She's terrified of him.
Yeah, then he leave and he be like, you need to learn how to lock the doors. And then he just leave and she like, what the hell just happened? So the next day, she wake up and guess what? Nico said she gotta move upstairs to the penthouse. So you go
and they was like, what? Because he don't like out the blue, but they were so confused. Wes and Sammy were confused because homeboy don't like nobody up there. That be his place. That's his piece. That's his sanctuary. So they're like, okay, so they take her upstairs. That's where she's gonna be living. And they're like, you can explore this whole entire house, but don't go in that room. And that room was Nico's room. It was like in the back corner or whatever. They was like, don't go in there, don't touch it, don't do nothing, don't look at it, just leave it alone. It don't exist.
Well, I think the main reason for her to be there is one, because they was renting that other room out.
Right.
And two, because that girl was coming up there to stay there too. Remember, they was like, it's Nico's sister. And they was like, Nico ain't got no sister. And they was like, well, it's like your sister.
Oh, Martha?
Max, something with him.
I don't remember her name. Something with an M though. Margot. That's right. Margot. Yep. Okay, cool. Now we can move on because I wasn't going to be able to rest. I'm glad you figured that out. So yeah. So that's right, because she was going to be, so, okay. So the whole thing was, Josie was going to go to NYU. Margot, right? Margot is also going to NYU, and they were going to be, they were waiting on the dorm stuff. Okay. So they're like, you could stay here for a little bit until the dorms and stuff go through, blah, 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 blah. She's like, all right, bet, like, we'll do that. Margot's like, hey, bitch, like, I'm going to go hang out with this girl because I need to get a nut off. And homegirl's like, what does that mean? I don't know what that means. She's like, if you have it, she was like, I have an itch that I need scratched. And she's like, oh, I can scratch it for you. Like, I don't mind. And homegirl's like, no, not that kind of girl. Not that kind. Go ahead, girl.
No, so she is moving upstairs. Obviously, she go up there, and the first thing she is a girl, not a little girl, a grown woman, is crying, and she running upstairs to the balcony part, looking like she about to jump off, but she like trying to act like Super Saber hoe, running up there trying to get her, and then the girl wasn't even trying to do nothing.
It was rude.
Then she was rude and started laughing at her because she didn't know nothing. Bitch, she was trying to save you.
Right. She was trying to make sure that you were straight. And the whole, so not only, so she gets up there and they're having a party pretty much, not like throughout the house, but they have this whole backyard area that's like, not backyard, but like back patio balcony thing that they're hanging out on. And so there's a lot of people there. And so this girl goes back, which I can't remember her name either. I just didn't like her.
Me neither.
I didn't like her. She gave Josie a hard time the entire time. The entire time. So anyway, so she's like making fun of her or whatever. Josie's like, I don't understand what's going on. I was just trying to help or whatever. And so she goes out there, and then everybody notices her. I don't know what she looked like, but the way that they make it seem like she was just stunning, because there was the guys at that thing were looking at her as well.
Now, so the next morning, we jump into the next morning. That's when she was finding out. She was going to the library with Margot. Like, she was getting ready to go to the library. All this stuff started happening. They was talking about her cooking, if she cook, and all that kind of stuff. And that's when she noticed that he was popping all them Xannies. You can go from there.
So she notices he's popping a bunch of Xannies, washing it down with alcohol. Homeboy is not doing okay. He's not doing okay. She notices it, but she's also like, he been talking to me crazy, but let me mind my business. Well, she can't mind it for too long because homeboy starts to OD. So because she's been trained in the medical profession while she was on the colony, she wanted to make sure she helped him. So
And so yeah, he started to overdose, and the only reason she know that he overdosed is because Margot comes in and be like, "Girl, he overdosing." Like clearly, she didn't see him do this a million times, and then so she starts to try to save him and all that kind of stuff. Margot could care less,
Cause
and
she
so
like, he do this all the time.
right, so she ended up saving him, and that was the end of that chapter. And she sat in that chair and watched him all night. And then the next morning he woke up and she was there. And then Sammy was there. He was like, "Hey man, you all right?" or whatever. He was like, "Yeah." Da, 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 da. He didn't even care about him overdose. She was like, "Yeah, that girl over there in that chair." She saved your life.
Mm-hmm. And
Yeah.
then he started thinking about stuff because he's like, I've been treating her like crap, and she really makes sure I stay alive. And
Mhm.
the whole time
But
he's been, oh, go ahead,
mhm.
because I think you're gonna
No,
say what
but
I'm
he
saying.
still didn't care about it. I mean, he cared about it, but he didn't care about it. He was like, "Oh yeah, whatever."
Mm-mm.
She said, I really don't care about my life, to be honest." And
Or hers, because he didn't care about hers either. He literally was like, she can live or die, I don't care. I
right,
was like, okay.
and Sammy was telling him like, "Oh, she looking for a job, or whatever. She trying to get a job at the job at the tattoo shop." And he was like, "She is not working at that tattoo shop, but she could put this skirt on and let her fat ass be out of that skirt." Like that's literally how he was talking to him
Mm-hmm.
about her.
Mm-hmm.
He was like, "She'll make a lot of money anyway. Can't nobody resist seeing that ass."
Mm-hmm.
So yeah. So Josie gets the skirt that Sammy gives her and put on, and now she mad because she like, this is just way too short. You know, she very modest. She from the colony, y'all. So she real modest, and she go in there and she's like, this too short, this too short. But she had to wear it anyway.
Yeah. So she's working in the restaurant so Nico is a owner of the tattoo shop, the restaurant, and like a bunch of other stuff around the town. Or the city. So the restaurant that she's working at, he's the boss of.
So she puts on the outfit. She mad at it because it's too much for her.
Too
But
revealing.
Nico tell her to shut up, be quiet, girl, and wear what you gonna wear. So she worked a little bit that day. She ended up getting in the car with him, and he speeds off. He ain't had no seatbelt, because I remember that part. He had no seatbelt, and somebody her bouncing her knee. It's not necessary. And so that's when she basically finding out what the word slut is.
Mm-hmm.
Remember, because what happened was when she was at that restaurant, she got into it with that other girl that she don't like.
Mm-hmm.
And the other girl called her a slut. Now she in the car with Nico, and she like, what is slut? So she said, "What is slutty?" And he said, "Being a slut." And she said, "What's a slut?"
Mm-hmm.
So at the end of every chapter, I feel like she's trying to figure out new words every chapter.
Yeah.
But go ahead, speed off of where you going.
So the next day she was working in the restaurant, same outfit, still not happy. And they had, so we never mentioned what they do. So Nico is part of a cartel, I guess you could say, that deals in drugs, arms, a bunch of different things. And he had there were some guys that were in the restaurant that day that they had kind of put, like, I guess you could say, a hit on, in a sense. So somebody was going to be driving by to shoot up that restaurant, and homegirl was working that day, and homegirl don't be knowing about nothing. So
they coming by.
Yeah, they're looking for Russo, which is the lead guy in this whole story.
But nobody has
nobody's ever seen him. Nobody's talked to him. Well, people say they've talked to him, but nobody actually knows who he is and what he looks like in person.
Mm-hmm.
So they set up this hit so that the car drives by and shoots up the restaurant. Homegirl's working. They shoot up the restaurant, and she's kind of standing there looking stupid. So Nico runs over and kind of protects her by jumping on top of her to make sure that she's straight. She's freaking out because she's never been in any type of situation like that.
Which is so funny because he ain't like he ain't care nothing by her, remember?
Right. He didn't care whether she lived or died, is what he said. And here he go protecting her, and he don't know why. Which was so funny because he kept talking about how he didn't do he called it puppy shit, which was like the lovey-dovey cutesy stuff. He didn't do that, but he was going to do that because it's a story. So
Right.
he saves her from that. She's freaked out. She's like really stressed out about the whole situation because this is nothing that's ever happened to her before. She doesn't know how to handle it. She doesn't know what's going on. And Nico's like he's not fazed by any of this. They got a bunch of dead bodies in the restaurant now. And people, they got to repair a bunch of stuff. So he calls his cleaners. They come through, they clean up the scene, they do what they got to do, and everything's fine. They bounce out. So homegirl's pissed, rightfully so, that her life was put into danger.
So I know that they start having that party the next day, like nothing happened, and he was talking shit to her, and he was she fell down by that gun, and he was like, "You weak, you ain't gonna do nothing, you ain't gonna do nothing," and she shot his ass with that gun.
And then she had to try to clean up because she felt bad about shooting him. Homegirl was like, her moral compass was like at an ultimate high. And so she just really struggled with the fact that she really shot this man. She didn't shoot him dead, obviously, but she shot him in the shoulder. So she's trying to clean him up or whatever. Here come Margot into the scene talking about what happened and you shot him. So she going off about that whole thing. Try not to be too mad, but she's still mad at the fact that she shot him. But she's also like, thank you for saving him. Like,
right. And Nico laughing because he's like, you a horrible shooter.
Which he better be happy because if she wasn't, he probably would have been up out of here. So she patches.
Going by. I'm sorry.
Go ahead. No. Go ahead. Go ahead.
Time go by. Her and Nico are kind of getting close.
Yeah.
And Nico offer to make her learn about sex.
Right.
That's when stuff starts changing.
That's when stuff starts changing. So he kind of tempted her with stuff because she's never actually had an orgasm because the time that she had sex, she wasn't doing it willingly. And so there's this one day where he's out and about and he tells her to go into this room, which is like the sex room, I guess you could say. And it has a big old, like a glass ceiling. And it's got a camera in there and he could see the camera. Why are you looking like that?
Just because my imagination is this different. I picture a mirror. And I picture like she could see, like she knew it was a camera in there because of the light. But I picture her looking at herself.
Yeah.
In my head. But it was a mirror on the top with the camera.
What did I say? Glass?
Yeah.
I meant mirror and the ceiling.
Oh, okay.
That's what I meant.
Because in my head, you know how, what is it called when you a two-way mirror?
On the
so
ceiling?
in my head, in my head it was a two-way mirror. Like she could see the camera light going through it, but it was a mirror. She could also see herself.
Oh.
That was just my imagination.
Okay. Okay. All right.
He asked her, he did tell her that, okay, I'm gonna teach you about sex or whatever, but you gotta agree to it. So the next day she agreed to it. And that's when he was out and about or whatever. And then he told her to go in that room, the little sex room. And because he never had no woman in his own room, I believe. And so he takes her to the sex room or whatever. He talking to her on the phone. And he tell her to touch herself and all this good stuff, and it go down. That's her first time she ever had an orgasm. And she just found herself like a little bit closer to him because of that and all that good stuff. Go ahead.
And he get back and treat her like crap.
Period. But he's still low key,
stupid.
Like,
Right. But she's so stupid.
Go ahead. That same night is the night they had a party, and what you was talking about, like she was feeling peer pressure.
Okay. Yeah.
Remember? And that's
I remember. I was talking about the what I was gonna go with was the fact that they went through her drawings and stuff like that. And they were like making fun of her, and
it's the same night.
Okay. Yeah. So
she leaves, and when she come back, she see that everybody there, they at the party, and they going through her pictures, laughing at her stuff.
So she's a really talented artist, and she was drawing Nico's tattoos like pretty much like a match in a sense. And so they were making fun of the fact that she had all the drawings of his tattoos in there, and they were like, oh, she's obsessed. Da, 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 da. They were just like clowning her the whole time. And it was literally everybody at the party that was clowning her. And so she felt some type of way, and she wanted to stand up for herself, but she just couldn't like for real get there like that. She just couldn't. So she starts grabbing her stuff, and she's like, y'all are so childish, da 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 da. They clown her some more or whatever, and she ends up sitting down and whatever happens. So they're drinking and smoking and stuff like that. And they're like, I bet you've never had a drink before. I bet you've never smoked before, blah, 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 blah. And so she's like feeling the pressure. And so she decides to try it. So she has, I think they had like whiskey or something. I don't really remember what they drank. And then Jack Daniels. Okay. And then she tries to smoke and starts choking because she ain't never smoked before. So they all laughing even harder at her because she's looking just kind of crazy as it continues to go along. And I don't really remember what Zoe. That's right. That's her name. Zoe. That's right. That's right. Yeah. So Zoe is Nico's
boo thing. It ain't his
boo,
his
booty call,
his
like
cuddy butt. Yeah,
his cuddy butt. Yeah, that's his. Yeah. So he don't really like nobody, because I was gonna say he don't really like her like that, but he don't for real like nobody, honestly. But he was humping on her a little bit. So homegirl feels like she got all these rights and she's high and mighty and she's better than this other girl, not realizing that he don't care about her either. I mean, he don't care about Zoe, but she thinks she like the HBIC. So
yeah, she do. She thinks
she do. Yeah. She really do. She thought she was untouchable, bless her heart. So then that whole night happened. Is it okay if I skip through that night?
Yeah, she get drunk and she pass out and Nico make everybody leave.
So after that, they continue to get closer and things like that. They continue to experiment a little bit more on the sexual side. But the thing that's so funny about it is they're starting to realize that they're kind of having feelings for each other, but neither one of them wants to admit that, because homegirl's like, you've been treating me like nothing but trash. And how could I possibly have all these feelings towards you, because you don't even treat me like a decent human being? And he's having feelings, but he doesn't know what to do with them because he's never felt like this about nobody before.
Right, he never had no feel.
No, and so this is very new for him as well. So they're both fighting. They are fighting them feelings as hard as their little hearts can. Right. But it's a story.
Real quick before you skip to this, but this part is important. Is that she ends up going to school the next day and she makes a friend.
Yes. And so her friend's name is Rico, which I forgot what his actual name was. But they called him Rico. So she meets Rico. Rico's like hanging on her, not hanging like physically, but like he's hanging around her. She's like, I got a friend. She's super geeked about it. She goes back home. She's like geeked. She's like planning to hang out with him, all this other stuff. And she tells Nico that she's hanging out with a friend, but she's trying to like, I'm just hanging out with a friend, like trying to make it seem like that. And he's like, you don't even have friends, girl. So who you hanging out with?
So proud of herself because she
is.
I done made me a friend.
Yeah. So they hanging out, they doing stuff together or whatever. And
skip to the part where Nico has she has a person that always comes and it's like one of her favorite people to come into the restaurant, give her good tips, all this good stuff. So it ends up being the mayor. So Nico said, I got a job for you, girl. I need you to get the mayor over here into this meeting. And she was like, no, I don't want to do that. I don't want to do that. He was like, I'll make it worth your while. I don't even remember how much he said.
He was paying her something crazy.
Yeah, it was like $30,000 just to get him over there. And then another like $60,000 to like be at the meeting. So she like, I don't know. Did she flirt with him a little bit and try to get him there, or
she just talked to him how she is, and like because she's so innocent and she really is kind of genuine in her feelings, homeboy was already stuck. So she convinces him to come to the meeting. They have this meeting. It's at a different. It's at a. It wasn't a casino, but they had like a back room where they were playing cards. Is that the same time?
Uh-huh.
Okay, so they have this back room and they're playing cards, and it's like higher up people. So it's like the mayor. It's like some high people in high places or whatever. And so she's there, Nico's there, all them other people are there, and they're playing these cards, but they're also drinking a lot. And
Uh-huh.
so pretty much what was going to happen is they was going to take their money and just get them really, really drunk and have them kind of forget that they needed to get their money by starting a scene so that everybody had to get out anyway, and they would just never get their money. What she didn't know was that they also had planned on killing them, which she was not aware until it happened. So they're having the card game, they're talking, all these other things. The mayor is a much older man, but he's like super into Josie. And so they're like, Nico sees it and knows that, and that's why he asked her to come in the first place. So
right, but he got low-key jealous.
He got a little bit jealous, even though he didn't want to, admit that because he don't have no feelings.
Mm-hmm.
So she's kind of walking around doing her thing or whatever, and then Nico has her sit on his lap, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
And so they're staring at her the whole time or whatever. So stuff is happening. And now it's getting to the point where the game has already happened. The money's like kind of out. They're trying to get all the money they can, and there's a shootout. This is now the second shootout in what, 2-3 weeks that she's involved in. Another time where she's scared for her life. They end up killing the mayor and the mayor's something.
Something associated. It was like his right-hand man or something.
Yeah,
like that.
somebody associated.
But at the same night, at the same time, he trying to get information out of Josie, because remember, he still don't really know Josie. Even though I don't know why you let somebody stay at your house that you don't know. Because I thought he knew something the whole time in this story, and that's why he
I did too.
He legit didn't know anything about Josie. So that night that he was getting was getting that mayor and that other man drunk the whole time. The mayor had got fresh, wanted her to go sit on his lap, and then he ended up getting her to sit on his lap. But when the mayor was all drunk and stuff, and now he's talking to this other girl or whatever, they ain't even paying attention. Now Nico is asking her questions like, what I wrote down, what's her real name, where's she from, how does she really know Wes, and who is she running from? And she told him everything. I wrote down, she told him all her business.
And did. And it was so crazy because like he kept feeling like from the very beginning of him meeting her, his goal was to get whatever information he can get out of her and then discard her when all that was done. So he had been steady trying to get more and more information because he felt like she was lying to him this whole time. Well, this time she told him everything, but he still didn't like fully believe it because she just gave all that information so easily that he didn't think it could possibly be correct. So he's getting information out of her, trying to figure out what matches what, which honestly was so crazy because so much she did give him a lot of information, but I guess in essence it wasn't really anything because it wasn't until the end of the story that he like dots started being connected. You know what I mean?
What? Say that again. I'm sorry. The last part.
I said it wasn't until the end of the story where dots were being connected, even though she had given him so much information.
Yes, I'm like, where you gonna get it?
Yeah, it just wasn't. It wasn't connecting. Wow. So
of course, it wouldn't be a story if it did.
True. Yeah, that is true. Well, I mean, anyway, I'll say that later. So they have that whole night. She's again pissed because she's like, why would you keep putting me in these situations that are endangering my life? And he's just like, this is what we need to do. Right. And she was mad because he kept playing with her while they was at the thing. And she was getting all hot and bothered. And he was like, all right, hop up.
Get going now.
Get going. What are you doing? So that night happens. I'm trying to remember in the order because the stuff with Rico happens not too long after that, right? Because then he like tried to kiss her and all that other stuff, and Rico, not Nico. Yeah, it's right. It's like before everything blows up with Rico.
Yeah, because like right at that point, right after he killed them mans, it was just like at the point where Rico just now started come to the house and studying. And
Yeah.
he was mean to him and was like, get the hell out of my house.
Right, which
It's
was
like,
weird
get out.
because he knew him.
Yeah, but she didn't know he knew him.
I know, but the way he was acting, like, you know who this is because you hired him.
I knew it the whole time too.
I did too, because I was like, that was just too odd. But anyway, Nico hired Rico to be following old girl around to get some more information out of her because he didn't feel like he got everything he needed. So Rico was doing his job and getting whatever he could, but the thing was, he wasn't really getting anything extra because she just was so kind of oblivious to so much. So they've hung out a lot, they've done a lot, things have kind of gotten weird. She made him some brownies, which was hilarious. It's not important, but it was funny. She made some brownies and she was like, yeah, I use this ingredient, and like everybody seemed to really like them. Homegirl made some weed brownies and didn't even realize she made some weed brownies.
Right.
And homegirl
She was
ended
like,
up being,
everybody really likes them. I don't know
yeah,
why.
she ended up being high. Rico was high. Shit was just happening. So that all takes place. She's at work one day and Zoe's in, and some girl walks in and she's talking to Zoe or whatever, and Zoe's like, oh yeah, that's Josie right there. So the girl walks up to Josie and slaps the mess out of her and like started hitting her. She's like, you just gonna be, what'd she say, something about you gonna be trying to take other people's man or whatever. Josie doesn't even know what she's talking about because she kept calling him a name that she wasn't familiar with, because she's like, I don't know anybody by that name. She's like, I know this guy named this, but I don't know anybody by this name. So she was super confused as to why she was getting hit.
Who was it?
Rico's girlfriend.
Yeah.
But I can't remember what his actual name was. They say it at some point in the story. I just don't remember. So she's upset about it, obviously, because she just got embarrassed in public again, because that's all she was doing for the beginning part of the story. So she's down, and Nico is there, and he ends up firing Zoe. And I think he fired the boss too that day, didn't he? Yeah, he wasn't playing with them, because he's like, if you gonna let that happen, you could go. He fired Zoe because he was already tired of her shit. So he was like, you can go too, girl. Like, you don't need to be here. And then, oh no, that's later on.
Real later on. But that's okay. Keep going.
Well, he fired Zoe that day though.
Yeah,
but the boss he fires later. Yeah, so okay. So there was actually a lot that I skipped now that I'm thinking of it, because there's a part where she goes to the boxing ring with the fight with Rico after Nico told her not to.
Oh yeah. Where is that at? Okay, so from what I am reading, what we failed to mention is that every night Nico is like getting in the bed with this girl. Like he can't sleep in the bed with her. It's like some kind of comfort that she gives him. Now we got to remember that Nico is like certified killer gangster. Like he always having nightmares and all kinds of stuff. But when he's in the bed with her, he sleeps so soundly. Like they literally are cuddling against each other. Now at this point, they done dry humped a couple of times because they had no sex. She wants to have sex and he wants to have sex. They just have not got there yet. So I'm not really sure where to go from here.
Just kind of the important stuff, girl. Like the fact that, you know, all that stuff happens, they cuddling, blows up with Rico. She feels betrayed, he feels bad, then that comes out that it was his fault. And then Daniel pops up, like just kind of going through those things, and then come to find out about Father Kate. I didn't call this man everything except father. God damn.
Okay, so yeah, a bunch of junk just happened. Like their buildings are blowing up and like stupid crazy stuff are happening.
Shipments are not showing up.
Yeah, money is getting missing. A lot of stuff happening is mainly because Daniel was playing with them, basically. But it's so funny that Daniel be playing with them, because when Daniel like really pop up, he like act like a whip a little bit too.
Yeah. So something that we needed to mention, because we didn't talk about it. So Daniel left the colony and has been out in the world doing his thing. Whole time homeboy's been out, he been working for Nico. He was Nico's like he was Nico's shooter, low key. He was the guy that took care of everything because Nico didn't really get his hands dirty like that. Daniel was his guy. Him and Daniel had a falling out, and that was that. So Daniel been plotting his revenge ever since.
Yeah, and then oh girl, like, why do you not like him so much? Why do you not like him so much? What is it? Do he know your secrets? Do he know? And she kind of put two and two together, and she figured out that he is Russo.
Right.
So Russo is the big man now, but they think that Nico
Russo
is
somebody
like
else.
Yeah, but he ended up being Russo, and she only know that because she connecting the dots because this man got his name literally on his body.
Yeah.
So she's like, well, you can't kill my brother. That's my only brother. Like, don't do it. And like at this point, they liking each other. They want to be with each other all the time. And like, even though he's still denying her, they still together all the time. So at this point, he didn't tell her, okay, I want to be with you, girl. Like, this is what it is. Like, a whole bunch of shit happened. He didn't kill a bunch of people over her and all this stuff. He was like, look, girl, I ain't even gonna let you. Like, he literally would not let her go to school. He driving behind her and she walking, like that protective.
Yeah.
But she love it at the same time.
Right. So one thing I do want to mention real quick though, before we get there, because this is after what I'm about to say. So we mentioned earlier that Rico's girlfriend popped up at the restaurant and hit her or whatever. So that ended up being a thing where, come to find out, Rico is not his real name. His name is something else, which I can't remember. And he does have a girlfriend, and he was hired by Nico to watch over Josie so that he can try to get some more information. So Josie, not knowing all this, she feels so betrayed by Rico and it's like, I never want to talk to him again, blah, 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 blah. She crying into Nico's arms and things like that. And he's like, I'm so sorry, da, 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 da. Whole time, he knew that he hired that man to follow her. He knew that he hired him to be her friend and all that, and felt bad about how everything kind of played out. Homegirl was feeling stupid, a whole bunch of other stuff. So Rico is now completely out of the picture. Okay, go ahead.
No, but this is another important part that I want to mention over. Shortly after that, right? Now, what we failed to mention is that she had not talked to her brother Daniel. He been missing. He been missing.
Yeah.
But she thinks she talking to him. She thinks
yeah.
Yeah. Now, she don't say a lot because she know that Daniel can't talk a lot. So she been sending all these funds straight to this man. And I'm not talking about a little bit of money. I mean stacks.
Stacks and stacks and stacks.
This man, thinking that it's Daniel. And then the one day that she was like, okay, we gonna finally meet up to see each other. And I guess what it was, y'all? Dylan. She done said all this money
to Dylan. Only to find out. So he come find her. She gonna meet up with him. Nico was gonna follow her.
Father K wants you to come back to
You're not supposed to be out here. I'm here to take you home. And she's like, I ain't going back there. And he tried her again. Nico pull up on the scene. He do what he need to do. And they bounce.
But because Nico beat him up real good before he leaves.
Yep. Yeah, we did.
Did Dylan even make it back home?
I don't think Dylan made it. I think
Nico killed him.
I think he did too. If not, he hurt him real bad. So okay, so that happened. So now,
that happened, and then after that, that's like when they really have sex. They like for real have sex.
Yeah.
Nico tell her, okay, now when we have sex, I don't want to be touched after. I don't want to be nothing. And it's something to do with his mama. It's some weird issue with his mama that he don't want to be loved or touched after he have sex. So after they have sex, he legit didn't want to be touched. I told you I didn't want to be touched.
And she felt a way about that because she's like, we just shared this intimate moment and you don't want to touch me.
Okay.
Right. But so Nico has this crazy backstory with him and his mama, and y'all just gonna have to read it. Y'all just gonna have to read it. It was a lot.
Okay, let me just tell you.
Because then it sounded.
I'll tell you in a short way.
Wait, did it sound like? Wait, before you get into that, did it sound like Nico was also part of the colony at some point?
It did.
Okay, okay.
I thought, but it wasn't like that. But I did think that.
It sounded like that though, right? I
Mhm,
thought the same
mhm.
thing. I was like, wait, so he was okay. Anyway, go ahead.
So what happened was Nico mama was pretty much a hoe. Okay, let's just keep it a book. Okay, Nico mama was a hoe. She was out here in these streets, but she was a high price hoe. But she was getting drugs, and she had a habit. And eventually, she did she sell him?
She kind of,
She
yeah,
kind of just gave him to
yeah.
this man, and this man
Mhm.
taught him. See, because Rico is Dominican Republic. How you
Nico,
say? Yeah, that's what I said. Did I say Nico?
you said
He's
Rico.
Dominican.
Yeah,
Nico is Dominican, but he speak Italian.
and
And so every
Spanish.
time somebody, yeah, I'm sorry, every time somebody asks him, "Are you Italian?" He was like, "Hell no, I ain't Italian," but he speaks Italian. But
Mm-hmm.
it's because this man that raised him was Italian.
Mm-hmm.
And he taught him all this stuff. And he
Mm-hmm.
pretty much brainwashed him at the same time. So yeah,
He was in a different cult.
yeah, for
Low
real.
key.
Straight up.
Right. So so yeah, that's kind of the backstory with Nico and his mama and his mommy issues.
Yeah,
So
so
yeah,
after she started, so after Dylan went back, Daniel appeared. Okay, Daniel finally appeared. She was loving on him. She didn't want Rico to kill him, but Rico really wanted to kill him because he really owed him a lot of stuff. But he loved this girl at this point, so now he ain't gonna kill Daniel.
anything that homegirl was like, don't do that, or we need to do this, he was like, yes, we do. We absolutely
Yeah.
do. But so around this time, Daniel's come back, but him and Daniel have already gotten into a crazy ass fight. Like, I mean, bad fight. And so I don't remember. Oh, it was around the time, I think it was around the same time with the Dylan stuff because Daniel ended up being out and about and she saw him. Anyway, they got together, all that. Well, they was beefing and they fought and he really beat him up badly, but he ended up hiring him at the restaurant.
Mhm. So let me go back right here because what I forgot to mention is what we forgot is that right when this whole Daniel thing happened, Daniel popped up out the blue, right? Something happened with her and Nico. And I think it was the Rico thing that made her want to leave.
It was. That's where I was gonna go next. So Nico, it ended up coming. Oh, because was it Sammy or was it Daniel? Somebody put his mess out. Somebody was like, I think it was Sammy or Wes.
It
Somebody
was
put,
Wes.
it
Wes
was
told her.
Wes. It was like, girl, why are you sitting here up in his face? He was the one that set this whole thing up. So I don't know why you sitting here mad at him when you should be mad at him. And she was like, what? So that whole thing, she was like, I'm done with this. You put my life in danger too many times. You've been out here playing with me and you don't really care about me. So she bounced. And so not only did she leave because Daniel was with her, they took Nico's car and they started driving. As they're driving, they ended up leaving his car somewhere. She leaves him some stuff and some notes or whatever. She's like, I'm not coming back. I just need some time. So you're just gonna have to give me some time. So they're driving and they go somewhere that looks like they're heading back to the compound. I mean, to the colony.
They went to a cabin first.
They went to a cabin, which but it was like on the way to the colony, but it wasn't necessarily the colony.
And
And
she
she
kept
started freaking
asking,
out.
"Are you taking me there? Are you taking me there?" He was
Yeah.
like, "No, no." At first, and then he was like, "But it was good for you that you was safer there. You was distant." And that's when she figured out, "Oh, really? You wasn't really coming back to even get me. You
Yeah.
really felt like I should have been there the whole time."
Right. Not knowing. And by this point, I don't know if it's come out that she got by Dylan yet, or if it comes out a little bit later. But
It comes out later because he tell her. Nico
that's
ended
right.
up telling him that.
That's right. That's right. So they get to this cabin. She's freaked out because it's very close to the colony. But Daniel's like, I'll be back. Don't you worry. Well, something happens, and Homegirl decides to walk her cool little self back to the colony anyway.
Yeah, because she like, you know what, after she done sat in that cabin and she been thinking and she been waiting and thinking and waiting and thinking, she like, you know what, I'm gonna go to this car, I'm gonna kill that man.
I'm gonna kill this man.
Yeah,
So
because she got some
Homegirl,
gangster. She done been in with Nico so long, she done felt like she gangster now.
so Homegirl trudges her little self up to the colony and it's like, hey y'all, and they like, hey girl, we thought she was dead because they went around and told them that she died. And her homegirl, Lily, I think her name is Lily, was like, I knew you wasn't dead, da 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 da. So she back at the thing. Father Cade, real geeked. They have this whole little ceremony or whatever. They're having these meetings, and homegirl barges into the room where they're having the meeting, and guess who's sitting in there?
Guess who they are?
It's Nico. So now she like, what you doing here? He looking at her like, what you doing here?
What you doing?
Why are you here?
I thought he knew. I thought he knew at this point because I'm like, he knew she was there.
He ain't know.
He know.
He ain't know. So she's sitting there like, what you doing here? He looking at her, and they're having this meeting, but they're trying to act like they don't know one another for real. So Father Cade is saying stuff to her, and she's like, no. So she walks up to because they're terrified of Nico. Everybody on that little colony is terrified of Nico. The reason why Nico is even there is because Father Cade is the freaking distributor of the freaking drugs.
Nico out there funding, baby. He out there funding their whole colony.
Their whole colony. So this whole colony has been a front for drugs and I think weapons.
But then you get but when you read it, you realize that she was in this colony, but he kept thinking she in this colony, but she don't know. She really ain't like religious or nothing like that. This is weird. Well, that's why, because she was out there when you was funding.
So they're there, they're having that whole time. He ends up, what was it? Something about sleeping arrangement. She ended up sleeping by his room or something like that. Do you remember that?
Yeah. And she's supposed to be like a maid to him, pretty much.
Yeah. And she's like, I'll go, because they were trying to see if she was going to choose him over them or whatever, because like that's their family. But they also wasn't going to say nothing to her because it's Nico and they didn't want to get killed. So they end up talking.
They didn't know. They didn't know.
They didn't know what?
They didn't know that they was together.
No. They didn't know that they was together, but they knew not to piss him off. So whatever he said that he wanted, they was going to give it, even though Father Cade felt some type of way because he wanted old girl, because in his whole picture, he was going to impregnate, like his kids to come was going to come from Josie. Like he had decided that Josie was going to be his mate, even though she was assigned to somebody else. So
Cade's old as fuck too.
As hell. So she get back there. They have that whole thing. She talks to Nico like on the slide just to kind of be like, let him know what's going on. She's like, I had planned to kill him. That was my plan. That's why I'm here. And so
he was like, okay, baby, you can do it. We can do that. Whatever you want.
Whatever you need.
Yeah. Like
I'll call some guys.
Yeah, because after they argued about the whole Rico thing and all this stuff, then they end up being like cool. He beat down that thing, and now bad. Like
Yep. So they have the dinner, all that. Everything happens. Cool. They're still there at the colony, and Father Cade has her come into his office. Into his office. And when he does, Michael is in there, and I don't remember the lady's name. The mom, the one that's always talking about her weight.
That evil lady.
Yeah. So them two that are like her parents or whatever, they're in there as well. So she's kind of looking around like, what's going on, guys? Like, what's up? Mind you, she had planned to kill him at this moment. Like, she was going to do it, but she didn't realize that other people was going to be in that room. So stuff gets to happening, conversations get started, and Michael and this lady pin her down so that Father Cade can impregnate her, pretty much. So she's fighting, she's trying to fight them off, she's screaming, all this stuff. Nico shows up to save the day.
Yep.
Bow, bow, bow.
In the dick.
Right. Bow, bow, bow. He was like, he told her, that was probably the coldest thing I think was the story, was he was like, who do you want to go first? You choose who dies first. And she was like, him, her, and I want to do this. So that's what they did. And they ended up, after that, having to leave, obviously, because stuff was hot. So they get ready.
Let me know, because this is a sweet part that I gotta say. So after he killed her parents, she started having an asthma attack.
He always carried her inhaler.
He had her inhaler. Oh, I wrote down, oh.
Yeah, he cared about that girl a lot. He really did. He made sure he carried that inhaler and everything.
Yeah. And then she passed out, and then they was in the airplane. The next thing they know.
Yeah. And so she wanted to, before they left, she was like, I got to get my homegirl. Like before everything like happened, she was like, I think her name's Lily, something. Anyway,
Yeah.
they take her with them, which he wasn't happy about, but that's what she wanted. So he was like, okay, cool. So this is another person who's going to be learning new stuff as well, because homegirl don't know nothing about nothing either.
And Rico be like, oh shit, here we go. Here we go.
Yeah. And it was so crazy because Nico was so mean to her. He was so mean to her. But, you know, she was a trooper, I guess. I don't know.
Let me tell you what I wrote down. So, y'all, after they get back to the house or whatever, they get settled. Now, her and Nico and Josie like getting it on, like they about to get it on. And then her friend came out. And he said, "Get the fuck back to your room, Shakespeare."
He called her everything. He called her everything.
It was so rude.
He was so mean.
Yeah.
Girl. He was so mean to that girl. And she just trying to figure life out, bless her heart.
It was so funny though. He was like, "Get the fuck back to your room."
Yeah. He said, you about to mess up something. You better go sit back down. Daniel's working at the place. Daniel ends up getting promoted to manager of the restaurant because something happened, which I don't remember what exactly happened.
And I'm gonna tell you, the whole time he wanted to kill that man, but she told him not to. He respected, but he wanted to kill him real bad every time.
Yep.
He said, like every time he see him.
Yeah.
But then that's when the manager, they went back to the restaurant, and the manager was being rude to her, and she was about to cry because she was trying to help that little boy.
That's right. And he was eating and throwing up.
Yeah. And so the little boy, so she told him to get the little boy some food. The manager was all mean to her. It was like, yeah, you slip your way up and all that kind of stuff. Didn't really know Josie's whole background.
Right.
And that's when he told her to stand her ground. You can't keep letting people walk all over you. But she ended up firing her. And she was like, you can't fire me. She was like, and Nico was like, yes, you can. And then she was like, who else gonna run this place like I do? And he was like, and Daniel was there. He was like, here you go, Daniel. Congratulations, you the next manager.
Yep.
And then the little boy was throwing up everywhere. He was like, clean that up. He's like, I ain't clean it up. I'm the manager. And he was like, but I'm the boss and you do what I say. So go clean that up.
Right. Do you want any more problems or not? Clean it up. So they get that done. And then kind of from here on.
Can I talk about this right quick? So as the time go by, Josie started working at a different tattoo shop, right? Ain't they mad at each other for some reason?
Yep.
What they get into? Or was you about to say it?
I was, but go ahead.
No, go ahead, because I don't remember why they got into it.
I don't remember why they got into it, but I know they wasn't talking. And they hadn't talked for like a couple of days because something happened, which it always did. And I think he put her life in danger again and she felt some type of way. And so she wasn't talking to him for as long as she could. She was giving him the silent treatment. And so he showed up at the tattoo shop to get a tattoo, but it was her first day and she had never done a tattoo before. And he doesn't ever go to that tattoo shop in particular because he has a tattoo shop and he has an artist that he always goes to. And the shop owner knew that. So they were like, well, we can't really have her do it. And he's like, but that's what I want. And so she ended up tattooing butterflies in his blank spaces until she would talk to him. And
they were butterflies that she had already drawn like permanent marker on his skin. That was so sweet.
That was cute. And he didn't even like butterflies, so it was cute.
Right.
So
and then this is where he was about to shoot Daniel again. And Josie was like, if you're gonna shoot him, just shoot me. And she tried to jump.
Step right in front of the gun.
Yeah. Did he shoot her? He didn't end up shooting her.
No, she did get shot.
Oh, but it was a graze.
Yeah. Yeah. I forgot. Yeah, she ended up getting shot. And so I forgot. I was gonna say something about that whole scene and it just slipped my mind that fast.
About her getting shot, grazed.
Yeah, but there was something else I was gonna say about the whole thing with Daniel and because Nico and Daniel were arguing. I remember now. So Nico and Daniel were arguing heavy, and she was trying to figure out like what was the beef, like what happened. So come to find out, Nico had killed somebody that Daniel cared about, and the person that he cared about was his lover. And so nobody knew that Daniel was gay. So that was like a whole thing. So Daniel never let that go because the whole thing was Daniel had planned on running away with whoever that was. I can't remember his name. I want to say Kai. I don't know. I don't think it was Kai, but they were going to run away together. So then Josie was like, so damn, you really wasn't going to come back for me at all? You were just going to disappear right off the sunset with your man? So that's kind of what I think gave a better explanation as to why Daniel hated Nico so much. But I didn't really understand why Nico hated Daniel so much, other than the fact that like he bounced.
Well, she had said that he knew more about him than anybody, and he didn't want the information out.
Yeah, but like he hated him like he had done something to him.
Yeah, I know. I didn't ever figure out no other reason other than that.
Yeah, I couldn't either. So I was just like, all right. But yeah. So homegirl gets Grace. She's in the hospital for a cool little minute, right? Because wasn't she in a coma or something?
But not at the hospital, because why would you think they're gonna take everybody to the hospital?
I forgot. They had a home doctor to come through.
Mm-hmm.
That's right.
And then that's when, like, right after that, that's when they're talking about how Daniel got a bunch of stuff messed up with the Italians and the Russians. That's why he wanted to kill him.
That's right. That's right. Because he had messed up his shipments. He had messed up his supply. He had messed up
and they were all mad at each other, and they all wanted to kill Daniel. Yep. And they had to kill, and he had to kill Daniel before they killed Daniel. And
then the other caveat to it was that if they didn't get to kill Daniel, they was gonna kill Josie. So
now Nico, because he loved Josie and can't kill Daniel, now he got to kill both of them, the Russians and the Italians. That's a hard job. I want to kill him too, because that's too much.
And that's why he was saying, he was like, it'd be easier to just get rid of him.
Right. I got to kill off a whole 2 crews.
Right. So they handle that situation. That ends up, I don't want to say blowing over, but it ends up taking care of itself in a way. Mm-hmm. And then by this point, Josie and Nico are like still just growing and growing as a couple. Anything she says goes. They were real mad at each other for, I don't remember what reason why it was. Why are you looking like that?
I'm just mad because I read this again and remember all of again how I was mad when I read it again.
Oh.
So after they was fighting, remember him and Nico and Daniel was like arguing over some stuff, and then a sniper shot in the room and shot.
That's what it was. That's what it was. That's how she got shot.
Man, she got shot again.
Yeah, that's how she got shot. Yep. Oh yeah, because she got shot twice.
Pissed off at Daniel because she like,
yeah,
this is too much, Daniel. I know why he want to kill you now.
Yeah, and so one of the other things about, because I think it was either the Italians or the Russians that had sniped at them because they had all those issues.
Mm-hmm.
But there was a part where, and I can't remember what it was, but she wasn't talking to Nico. Oh, that might have been earlier, but you remember she wasn't talking to Nico for a minute, and he was like, "You want the whole house or whatever?" He's like, "It's yours," and he had transferred all that stuff into her name. That was crazy.
Yeah,
that was crazy.
Mm-hmm. I was like, dang, if it only was me. I was talking to my friend today at work about she being the sugar baby. I know that was out of the blue, but that's what I thought about because we was talking about being sugar babies. And I was like, girl, it be on TikTok. People really be doing that for real.
And be making money too, girl.
Be making money. A lot of them just be talking to old people.
Mm-hmm. They just want some companionship. So I ain't mad. I ain't mad. Everybody got needs.
She was talking about paying for college. I was like, girl.
That'll do it. That will do it. That will do it.
That will do it.
Yeah. So So all that is taking place. Homegirls got shot.
So basically, the old girl was mad because he did all that because he shot that boy and he was gay and they want to talk about it. That was pretty much the end of that. She just figured out a whole bunch of stuff about Daniel that she started getting pissed off about because all the time she defended him, she shouldn't have really been defending him.
And she didn't talk to him for a minute either.
Okay.
So the ending of that was they was just dealing, and that was kind of it. They were still, in each other's lives and all that stuff, and that was kind of it. But there is a part of the story where the author makes a kind of like a happier ending, a more like fairy tale ending, where homegirl and him get together, like for real. They have kids, all this. Everybody's talking to one another. Everything's like cool.
And his mama say, "I'm proud of you." He hear the mama say, "I'm proud of you."
Right.
It's the whole thing with the mama.
That was a whole weird scene in itself too. But Lily starts dating Margot.
Yeah, we forgot
which
that
was
part
cute.
too.
Yeah, that was cute. So everybody's happy, everybody's living, blah 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 blah. So, how did you feel about the story?
I loved it. I liked it. I love a mafia story.
Yeah, I like the fact that it was a mafia story, but it was also like a cult story because we haven't read any stories like that. And honestly, that twist with Father Cade being the supplier did surprise me. I did not see that coming.
It was really a lot of surprises in these books where I thought it was going to this place, but it wasn't going there at all.
Yeah, I will. Yeah, I agree with you because normally if I'm reading something, I can always tell, or watching like a movie or something, I can always tell what's going to happen. Mostly, this story I didn't have that because I didn't make the connection that Father Cade was the supplier. I didn't make the connection that Daniel was working for Nico. I just didn't catch that any of that.
Or that it was even Russo.
Right. Which I'm still confused about because who was the guy that I don't want to say bought Nico, but like that was raising Nico? Wasn't that Russo?
No, that was not Russo. That was an Italian man. He was Russo.
Oh, that's right. That was an Italian.
Remember, because he had Russo on the skin, and she was looking at his tattoos, and he had the O here and the R back here, and that's when she figured out he was Russo, and she was like, "Dude, Daniel know that you're Russo," and he was like,
and he gave her that necklace that had it on the necklace as well.
Right, girl, because I was thinking that Russo was gonna find out what Josie was in the kid, because that necklace just made me think that it was a tracking device. The story kind of could have went a million different ways. So.
It really, really could have.
But I love the way it turned out. It was so good. I loved it.
Yeah, it was really good. I agree with you. It was a good time. I was super excited when I was listening to the story. I was like, dang, I've been telling everybody about the story, and like they've been like, oh, that sounds really good. It's not bad. It's not bad at all. So this is our review. A little jumbled, but it is our review in our own special way for Runaway by Bazookah on Wattpad.
Well, we back, y'all, and we better than ever, so stay tuned.
We back, and just follow us on our Instagram, follow us on our TikTok. We'll be posting stuff. We're actually going to be posting some older episodes, so you guys will probably start seeing. I'm saying all this, but all that stuff is going to come out, so I'm going to just stop talking. We'll see you guys next week or whatever. Bye.